What is good, YouTube? It's your boy OG Nonboy back with another video, and in today's video I'm going to be going over the infamous Double Charm team. So this team last season in the Ultra League Premier Classic was extremely OP, and I was wondering if it would be the case this season in spite of the charm nerf. So let's talk about the state of this team this season. So this is my only positive set out of the maybe 8 sets that I played with it, and you might have noticed in the last video my elo was quite a bit lower. Like, I lost about 200 elo trying to see if this team works. But let's just first talk about why Double Charm is good in the first place in the Ultra League Premier Classic. So a lot of people felt like, felt like Double Charm was extremely OP just because you'd be able to double shield through things and then farm anything down. And honestly, that isn't quite the case in the Ultra League Premier Classic. Maybe in the Great League, but in the Ultra League, Pokemon are a little bit thicker than the Great League, so that wasn't quite the case in my opinion. The reason that Double Charm was so powerful last season was just due to the state of the meta. So you'd be seeing a lot of fighting types and dragon types in the meta. So, if your opponent had one or both of those types of Pokemon on their team, or two of like one type, like double fighters or something like that, then this team would just completely hard counter those teams. And then in between, you'd have some play as well. But in this season, that really isn't the case just because the meta is so different due to the wing attack buff. So with the wing attack buff, nowadays you're seeing a lot of Charizard and you're seeing a lot of anti-Charizard. So you're seeing a lot of Wall Rein, a lot of Lapras, and a lot of the Ampharos. So because of Togekiss's flying typing, Wall Rein and Ampharos do very well against the Togekiss, and Wall Rein also just is a core breaker since you're kind of ABA weak to Wall Rein with the Swampert lead and the Togekiss in the back. So overall, the meta is just so different now that I don't think the nerf itself really hurt the Double Charm team, but it's more so just the state of the meta and what you're seeing a lot of nowadays. So without further ado, then I guess let's get into the analysis of these battles here. So the Wall Rein lead typically is very bad, and I usually go straight for the Earthquake, and 9 out of 10 times they don't shield. So we got really lucky this time that they decided not to shield, and I'm gonna bring in the Sylveon to preserve the Swampert just in case we need it for something in the back. So opponent not swapping out, which I find very interesting, and it looks like they're just gonna let their Wall Rein go down, which honestly I'm pretty happy about since, like I said, it kind of is a core breaker to this team. So I'm gonna get this Side Shock off on the Trevenant, and they also let this go, which kind of makes the match pretty easy depending on what is in the back. So I'm gonna let my Sylveon here go, and I'm gonna bring my Togekiss in. So I'm going to shield whatever move this is since I'm kind of reading that they're weak to Charm in the back the way they've been playing. And the opponent doesn't even let us see their last Pokemon. So GG's to that opponent. Next match we have Swampert into Charizard. So this is exactly where we want to see it. And I'm going to not throw right away on the Hydro Cannon just because a lot of times the Charizards will attempt to catch on a Pokemon in the back. So I'm going to throw one after, and then the opponent throws here, and this could be a Blast Burn, which does really heavy damage. And since they've already invested a shield, I'm also pretty comfortable investing one of mine. And since they threw right away, this should only be a Dragon Claw since they get to Dragon Claws the same exact time that you get to your Hydro Cannon. So I'm gonna get this one off. Opponent decides to shield this one too, which is pretty interesting to me. And I'm just gonna trust that the opponent is gonna go for the CMP tie here and CMP tie them on the Hydro Cannon, and I kind of had to do that just because we do need to take this Swampert out, or the Charizard out with our Swampert. And then they bring in the Wall Rein, so I have to stay in here because I can't swap into the Sylveon in fear that they'll swap out into their last Pokemon, and then we'll have our Togekiss aligned to the Wall Rein in the end game. So now we bring the Sylveon in, and we're just gonna have to play this out and hope that they're kind of weak to whatever, or Charm in the back. So They end up having a Porygon 2, and I kind of panic swap into the Togekiss, but it's not like we really had a choice either, since we did have to preserve the Sylveon for the Wall Rein. So they're going to be able to reach a Zap Cannon here. And then now I have to try to farm up to a Moonblast and hope that a Moonblast KOs, but the Wall Rein also has energy already, so even if we're able to get to the Moonblast, if it doesn't KO, then it is a GG for us. So we're going to throw the Moonblast here, and this is a pretty heavy hitting move, but just isn't quite enough against the super thick Wall Rein, and then we're going to be taken out by the High School Spear here. Next match, we have the Swampert into a Dragonite. So Dragonite in the lead typically is pretty hard for this team, since you're likely not going to maintain switch, so, or like win switch advantage back. So you're gonna have your Swampert aligned to the Dragonite, and you're just gonna have to hope that your Charmer can sweep whatever is in the back and the Dragonite at the same time, given that you have a shield advantage. So I'm gonna bring my Swampert back in here, and we want to take care of this Nidoqueen. And I'm not gonna overfarm too much, just because we want to get rid of this Nidoqueen. We don't want the opponent to preserve it and swap back into the Dragonite. So I'm going to throw right away here, since our switch timer is almost up. And now the switch timer is up, so it's a little bit scary, since the opponent can swap out whenever they want now. And their Nidoqueen is still relatively healthy, so opponent going to make a catch onto their Dragonite, and this is kind of the scenario that I feared, but we're still in a decent spot, since we should be able to farm down this Dragonite, and we'll be pretty close to a Psyshock to take out the Nidoqueen. So gonna eat this Dragon Claw, no problem. But now these Poison Jabs are going to add up quite a bit, and we're gonna have to shield a Poison Fang here. So this is the first Nidoqueen that I've seen actually in even like just any battle that I've had through the Great League up until now. But now they have a Toxicroak in the back, so this is still maybe winnable if we can reach this Psyshock before they reach 2 Mud Bombs. So we're able to do that, and then we're able to take this game here in spite of having kind of a rough game. Like, we lost lead and we lost swap as well. And they preserved the Nidoqueen, but we got a little bit lucky with what was in the back. So next match we have a Samurott. So this is also a pretty tough lead for our Swampert. So we're going to swap instantly into our Togekiss. And this actually happens to be a Waterfall Samurott, so it's a pretty interesting pick in this meta. I'm guessing that they ran this to counter the Charizards in the front. But we're going to get the Ancient Power off. They're going to shield this, and I kind of want to maintain alignment here, so I'm going to shield this too. And then we should be able to farm them all the way down before they reach another move. And then we get to see the next Pokemon, which ends up being the Trevenant. And I'm glad that the Swampert gets to avoid this, but Trevenant does pretty well against the Charmers, because it's like a relatively neutral matchup, and they're just able to get to the Shadow Balls very quickly. And Shadow Ball hits very hard in neutral scenarios, so they build up energy, so they are just about at a move. So I'm going to play this out where I'm going to throw the first Hydro Cannon, and then the second Hydro Cannon I'm planning on undercharging just so that I can get some extra farm on the Sylveon, so that I can throw a move at the Trevenant. But I end up undercharging this a little bit too much, and this allows the Escavalier to get to a Drill Run before we're able to reach a move. So pretty big misplay by me, and this means that the Trevenant should be able to take out our Sylveon with the Shadow Ball here. So we would have been able to survive one, you know, if we didn't take the Drill Run, and maybe we would have gotten to a Psyshock before they reached another move, but that was also kind of pretty unlikely. So yeah, overall, team definitely weaker this season, not only because of the Charm Nerf, but just because of the state of the meta. So maybe things will change later once, you know, the Charizard meta kind of cools down, if that ever does happen. But yeah, for now, definitely would stay away from this team, and, you know, try this team at your own risk if you do want to play it. So that's all for today's video. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and also submit your battles in the link in the description below, and I'll see you in the next one.